Thank you so much. Thank you for attending our Tea Leaves Last premiere screening on YouTube. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. And welcome to our Q&A panel. I am Alice, the producer for Tea Leaves Last, and I'll be moderating this panel for today. So we can probably go ahead and go around the room and have the panelists kind of do a brief intro of themselves and what they worked on the show.
I feel like we should start with Saira.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Saira. I'm the executive producer, also known as a showrunner, on Tea Leaves Last.
All right, I'll go. I'm Stephanie. I was story editor and helped co-write with Saira to support her vision. And I'm excited to be here.
Yay. I'll go next. I was the art director for the black and white department. So I led the art design team, the visual development artists, and I'll pop it over to Ben.
Yeah, so my name is Ben, and I served as the background design lead for Tea Leaves Last.
Thank you so much. Truly such a talented crew, and thank you guys for taking the time to speak at this quick Q&A panel. All right, we're gonna do some pre-selected questions first, and then we'll open it up to the room later for audience questions. So our first question is, what inspired the story of Tea Leaves Last? Was there any specific moment or experience that really sparked that idea?
Yeah, Saira and I will take this one. So Saira had a unique approach to this project where she actually sourced pitches from our writer's room in a writer's summit, and she gave us some sort of prompts to think about. She said she was really interested in the YA demographic, historical time periods, and also just the magical girl genre. So I was like, let's just do them all. Let's combine them. And I pitched her a show about tea-themed magical girls. Why tea? Really, I was just thinking it would be fun. I was thinking about the hallmarks of a magical girl show, like Witch or Winx or Sailor Moon. A lot of the ensemble casts are each divided into specialties or categories. So for Sailor Moon, it's the planets. So I was thinking, like, what is a system where we can have a larger umbrella with different categories? And tea came to mind, different types of tea facilitating different powers. And Saira took it and she saw some potential and expanded that into her own story sensibilities. So Saira, what were those?
Yeah. So I love the idea of tea-themed magic, and so did our writer's room. People came in with lots of different ideas about what it could be and how we can like use tea and magic and create a bigger world about that. So I started looking into themes. They started talking early on about like the Boston Tea Party and pirates, and then we looked into like tea's role in empire building and colonialism. And then I, took that and like took the themes about like colonialism, identity, family, something that was like always something that I write about, and put them together. And then also trying to find some more personal connections. So tea has like a history of being like thought to have originated in the region between Burma and China. And so as someone who is Burmese and Chinese on my mom's side, that felt something that was like really specific to me. And also like my grandfather ran a bakery and a coffee company called Golden Lion. And so they also had like similar challenges to what happens in like the pilot during this time period, with like different political powers coming in trying to, you know, encroach on them. And, the idea of leaving your home to seek something better is something that I think a lot of us can relate to.
Wow, it's really interesting to kind of hear the origins of this story. So much thought behind it, and really good to hear that there's like some personal history woven into that as well. Our second question is, were there any scenes or lines that were especially personal or meaningful to you while developing this project?
I think for me, my favorite part was when we boarded the tea ceremony. I thought that was very special pretty iconic, I would say. It's just a great way to showcase all the different ways that tea is celebrated and also all of the cultural backgrounds behind every single different teas as well. So that part was very special. And another scene that really hit home for me was actually the scene where Mia was confronting her parents. So a lot of the times, maybe your parents their ideas don't align with you. And I feel Mia's frustration at that moment, and it was just really cool to see her pursue her dreams anyways. So that was pretty meaningful to me.
Yeah, one moment for me is when Mia is confronting Wenyi about magic, and Mia is saying, "You taught me about magic. I still want to pursue it. What about you?" And Wenyi kind of rebuffs her and says, "That's old news. That's for children. No one believes in that anymore." And I just feel like there are a lot of comps for this. It can be that feeling of wanting to hold on to your childhood where others are trying to grow up too fast, or even trying to hold on to a simpler time when I don't know, when technology and social media and AI are running rampant, Mia wants to hold on to this cultural tradition of the past. And um, I don't know, we can think about the ways we hold on to our past, our family history. What do we want to carry forward? What gets lost with time? What's worth preserving?
Yeah, absolutely. So much good food for thought, I think, in the writing of this show. Um, Pivoting a little bit, we wanted to ask a little bit to the team what it was like working with a very large creative team as showcased in our ending credits, or any fun behind the scenes stories or favorite moments.
For me, like this is like for me the very first time that I've worked with such a big team. And when I came into the project, they already set up like a really good rhythm with everyone. So it was like a lot of learning for me, but it was fun learning because it's like catching up with what was already done, but also still being able to deliver feedback on work, ensuring the consistency with all the work, especially across like all the characters, all the backgrounds and everything. But yeah, the thing that I really enjoyed the most about having such a big team and us working like remotely were like after every meeting, we would go ahead and have our traditional screenshot moments where we would come with different themes and it was really amazing, especially to one of our production team members, Brenda, who would come every meeting with a new idea, a new theme of how we could make the team photo so much more interesting. So that's some like a fun behind the scene thing that I enjoyed and look forward to every review.
I definitely second that. I think I remember one of my favorite moments was when we held up like our little like figurines or little baubles that are on our desks. That was super cute.
Yeah, in terms of working with a large team, okay, guys, it's actually really, really challenging to manage such a large volume of ideas that aren't always compatible, whether that be in the writer's room or visual ideas. And it ends up being sort of a triage process to see which ideas fit the overall vision and are right for this specific story versus ideas that are really exciting, but just are like maybe better suited for a different show. So I don't know, it was heartbreaking at times to have to narrow in and focus down because everyone's ideas were just so out of the box and incredible. But some ideas we kind of put in our back pocket and said, you know, if this ever got made into a real show, if we had continued, maybe we'd have to explore these further. So who knows? And then answer about a super fun thing is in the writer's room, we had this idea called a bad idea box as an icebreaker. And we would just submit like the worst things to come to mind, just sort of like dust off our brains. And I have a couple examples here. So here's one that said, there's a character named Mugsy, the mug, and he throws hot boiling water at your face when he's angry. Right? That is tea related, yeah. And another one is, someone turns to the camera and goes, "What are we, some sort of tea team?" Unfortunately, that line didn't make it in. Okay, wait, I have one more. This one says that somebody eats Lepet, the tea pet, and then he bursts out of their stomach alien style. We decided not to go a little gory in that direction, but maybe that's the finale.
Oh my God, that's incredible. I wish I was in the story room when that happened. For me, so I've worked on large teams before, but this was the first time that I've led quite a large team. And I just want to shout out to all the key people that we um, appointed in leadership. So one of them is Ben as BG lead. But I also want to shout out Caitlin, who was our um, art director assistant. And then also Yayi, who's my co-art director. She led the color team, as well as Vianne, who's the character lead artist, and Claire, who's the prop lead artist. Um, and also just the prod team, the production team. They're the glue to this production. I don't think we could have done this without such a great prod team. You guys were just amazing, just killed it. And some of my favorite moments on this project was actually some of the one-on-one meetings or just like the breakout meetings from our usual art reviews. I love just sitting in a call, whether it was me, Saira, and Ben, or me one-on-one with another artist on the team, where we just shared some of our tips and tricks and also just helped each other out, clarify whatever feedback that we had. It was just, it was nice.
Wow, it was so good hearing all of your different perspectives in leading such an ambitious project, definitely. That kind of leads into my next question. The crew put in over 15,000 hours on T spread across all of our crew members in over basically an 8-month period of time. So, how did you maintain motivation and momentum throughout the production?
Yeah, I'll take this one. This project was really quite something special. For me, this was like a volunteer thing that I wanted to do, but I also had other priorities as well. But then once we onboarded everybody and we got this momentum going, I just I felt like I was swept away by all of this passion and motivation from the rest of the team. I feel like they just, you know, pulled me along, and at every art review, when I saw all of the art come in, I just felt so much motivation to keep going and so inspired by everybody. So I feel like that was what kept me going anyways, but maybe that also had something to do with keeping everybody else going as well. And not just the art team, when I see things from the story team, especially some really great boards, and also watching Lynn, the director, work her magic. It was just so inspiring, and that also kept me going too.
Yeah, and I want to second that with what Flo said. Like for me, in addition to everything that Flo said, the people really were the one that were keeping me going and keeping me motivated. And not just from the aspect of the talent, because it was so talented, everyone on the team. Like I looked forward to each review, seeing the progress on how things change from how it started to how it ended up inside the final animatic, but also the people itself, like just talking to them and getting to know them and their stories behind them was amazing. Like, for example, I went ahead and I had a time to just chat with our character design lead, Vianne, and I found out that she loved working on webcomics too. And that was something that we kind of bonded on. And then, or talking with our amazing art director, Flo, who I found out actually knows my boyfriend from working in another mentorship program. So it's like just getting to know these people and the stories behind them and what they brought to the table was something that kept me going and looking forward to seeing them in every review, every meeting that we had moving forward.
Yeah, I
Oh my
think off of
God.
that, I think it just like speaks to the importance of having a strong team, not just like skill wise, but also like personalities and just having a team that gets along well. And it's like every day I just like looked forward to meetings because it's like I get to hang out with like friends too, and we get to all work together. So like having a team that works well together, both like creatively, but also like personality wise is, yeah, very, very important. And we were very fortunate that you know, the people that we hired also all worked really well together.
Yeah, and your team also helps you stay accountable. If you're working on a project all alone, you don't have anyone to wink, wink, nudge, nudge you that, hey, maybe we should finish this. And it's nice to be able to pull each other along and give each other that push when we need to give notes or need to turn a drawing in or just need to put our heads together.
Absolutely. Like, I feel like the team really came together and we were like each sources of motivation to just keep driving forward and make the best thing that we could possibly make together. And jumping off of that, what do you hope that viewers will take away from Tea Leaves Last?
Um, I hope they take away that it's okay to pursue your dreams. As cheesy as that sounds, but I hope that's their biggest takeaway. And also eat snacks and believe in the power of friendship. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, that was really cheesy.
I mean, I hope people want to make their own projects and want to connect with other people in the industry and make their own little communities and get their art out into the world.
Yeah, it's kind of like both of what Flo and Stephanie said. Like part of it is like, you know, the story itself and like the whole idea of like the tea leaves and the magical powers. I mean, there's a lot of metaphors, but one of the big themes was that like, you know, getting your magic powers and becoming like a golden leaf, it's like the result of a lot of hard work and effort. And like really just like, you know, going through the struggles that everyone goes through, but like being strong throughout it. And like the whole idea is like humans are tea leaves that, you know, your powers like come out when you're under pressure, you know, like that's when you shine. And I think that's like a good metaphor also for, you know, the state of the industry right now is not like the best it's ever been, as we all know. And so really just showing like what you can do when you just like put your mind to it and put your heart into it. And like you can really like create something out of nothing, literally, that like, you know, 9 months ago, this was not even like a thought in anyone's head. And then now we have this full, like, you know, almost hour-long project and like so much work to show for it.
Absolutely. I feel like it really goes to show, as part of the creators of the program who is running this, uh, I feel like it's so valuable to see a team come together and showing that you can really create something amazing when you put your mind to it and you put forth planning and effort and intentionality into making something good. You can make things happen. So hopefully, this project is a great example of what is possible in that regard. And then going into our next question, wanted to ask, how did this project help you grow personally or professionally?
For me, as I said, since this is like one of the first times that I worked with such a big team and leading a team, this experience really pushed me to grow fast. And that's a great thing for me personally, because I had a chance to lead and make creative decisions while also learning by doing and not just observing everything. And that's something that I feel like is a really good testament to what Asians in Animations is doing with the 4P, as well as their other projects like the Immersive Lab. They're creating something that I feel is very rare for people like us, where we get these opportunities to develop our talents in a situation that you usually don't get, that opportunity that you usually don't get. And it's programs like this that really help us and give us that space to grow and develop ourselves. And that's something that I really enjoyed learning about myself, not just in a professional sense, but as a personal sense. Uh, and also like working with all these people, like everyone on this panel and everyone that was inside the team, we weren't just growing alone. We had other people that were growing with us as well. So it was like we were all learning together. It felt very collaborative. We didn't feel like we were alone inside this situation at all. And we were all learning. So that's really like for me what really helped me grow with this experience.
Yeah, I mean, I have previously led teams, but not quite this big and not quite as this big of an undertaking. And so like being able to actually do the thing that I want to do, which is like, lead a show and actually put it into practice and get that experience is like so invaluable because it's very hard to come up on the opportunity otherwise and especially to be like paid to do the opportunity. And so like through this being able to simulate what that would be like and really get that experience is like means the world to me. And hopefully like it gave other people also experiences that they aren't yet able to get, but hopefully this is a good stepping stone for them to be able to get that whatever their goal is next.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, I am definitely a true believer of learning through doing. At least to me, that is the most valuable form of learning. Sure, you can sit and listen and try and absorb as much information as possible, but you're really going to be tested, and those skills are really going to develop at a much faster pace, and you'll gain a deeper understanding by actually doing the thing. So I'm really grateful for this program to provide that opportunity to all of our team members, all of the crew to make this happen. Kind of pivoting back a little bit more towards the show and a little bit more fun. Um, Tea features a lot of delicious Asian food and drinks in the animatic. We want to ask what was some of your favorite snacks or drinks to have while working on a project like this?
Just love anything chocolate. I know that's not tea related, but it's the truth. Any candy bag, you bet it's there with me. I guess if we're specifically talking like Asian, oh yeah, there are chocolate flavored teas, someone says in the chat. True, true. Um, in terms of like Asian snacks, shrimp chips are my go-to. Shrimp snacks, they're so good.
I agree. I also ate a lot of shrimp chips. Oh, I can't avoid it. Um, I don't know if people remember this snack, but there's these haw flakes snacks. They're like from that fruit, the dried fruit.
I totally know what you're talking about. I love those.
Yeah, they're so good. Um, this snack has been called like an old lady snack, but dried plums are really good. And I had quite a lot of those. Um, and I ate a lot of wasabi peas and flavored peanuts. Sorry, I could go on with snacks, but I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I shout out to the props team for designing all the awesome snacks in the show.
Yeah, I also had like kind of an old lady snack, which is like roasted sunflower seeds, like Mia had. That's something that like I grew up with my mom really loving to eat those all the time, and so I got that from her, and so now I eat that. I feel like a real adult. I don't know. And then like recently, I have gotten really into matcha, but I will say it's instant matcha, and it's very westernized with a lot of milk and syrups. So, I think I would probably fall victim to Jade Water since that's kind of similar.
For me, I'm not much of a snacker, but during this production, I did enjoy a lot. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. I mean, you probably are, but it's called turtle chips, because I'm like very big on flavor and texture, and I really enjoyed eating turtle chips because of the crunchiness of it, as well as a Filipino snack that I enjoy, which is dewberry, which again plays on that whole texture thing because it's like a soft cookie with a chewy center and it's like sweet and salty at the same time. So I like those contrasting snacks a lot.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing all of your snacks, everyone. Yeah, I'm a big snacker, continuously munching all the way through all of the meetings, basically. Um, I forever thank Zoom for having good filtering so that my snacking does not go through in the meetings. If I forget to mute myself, it does happen, I must admit. Um, Cool. Our next question is, what's next for you creatively after this project?
I am um I'm essentially creating a video game studio and we're working on our first game. Uh it's a cooking game, so look out for that.
Congratulations, Flo.
Thank you.
If you have a link to any of your promo materials or anything related to it, drop it down in the chat. I'm sure we're all super excited to check it out.
For me, creatively, of course, I mentioned it earlier, but with chatting with VN. But yeah, I'm working on a web comic with my partner, which is basically documenting our story together. So we're hoping to launch that soon, but also like picking up projects here and there wherever I can.
That sounds so wholesome. Be sure to let the team know when it's ready for release. And yes, we'll be sure to send lots of love your way once it's ready.
Thank you.
For me, I'm always writing new samples, always trying to, I don't know, revise. Your scripts are really never done. I'm hoping to do the application circuit this year and apply to some writing programs. So keep your fingers crossed for me. I hope that some of them go through. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm going to creatively take a break for a little bit. And then after that, I'm hoping to get back into working on my novel, doing edits on that, and hopefully start querying that, by the end of the year. I'll say it here so I'm accountable for myself. And then, yeah, getting also back to writing scripts. And then it's not the Oh, yeah, it's not the end for tea either. So, keeping an eye out for, what potential future there might be for this project as well.
So exciting. Seems like there's a lot in store. Okay, we'll probably take a pause for now and then switch over to some audience questions. I think the first question I saw earlier was from Lexi asking how many people were working on this project. I don't know the final count off the top of my head, but the final crew count, including cast, is over 100 people were working on this project. So really, it was quite an effort from a really, really large team. Pretty amazing that we all came together and made it happen.
I asked my dad what he thought about the project, and he was like, "Oh yeah, how many people worked on this? Like 10?" I was like, "No, Dad, 10 people could not do that."
Maybe they could, but
Well,
probably not
yes,
in this
maybe they
amount of
could.
time.
Maybe they could, but certainly we had many more hands.
Yes, we had certainly a lot more help really to make this possible. All right, and I think the next audience questions that we had was the designs were very cohesive to the world you created. Also, the characters were very consistently drawn. How was the process of communicating across the team to draw on model and create designs on theme?
So how was the process? It was difficult at times, but again, I felt like communication across the board was so good, um, that we were able to, get that cohesive look to the whole show. Um, yeah, some of the challenges we faced was just the fact that it was a volunteer effort, and sometimes artists have had other priorities as well. Uh, but because we had so many really talented and skilled artists on our team, we were able to delegate whenever we needed to, and pivot as well. And it was all down to communication and really seeing our showrunner's vision and communicating that. Um, Another challenge was it being very asynchronous at times because we had part of our team overseas. They were all the way in Asia, and sometimes our timing doesn't line up. So being able to communicate verbally and by text is very important in this situation. We also did a lot of video recordings as well, and I tried my best to do some demos. Vianne did a really great job of leading the character design team. She was amazing with her feedback. And she also did some demos and recordings, and we had art guides for every department, so BG's props and characters. And then the cross-department communication as well, when Vianne and I communicate with the story team, uh, with the storyboards. Yeah, everybody has their style, but I think we did a good job at onboarding artists who have very similar styles to ours, and they were able to pick it up very quickly. So we were lucky in that regards. So
Yeah, it was
yeah.
amazing. And I also feel like I was less involved in the character part, but I kept seeing in the chat so many drawovers go back and forth where artists would just make notes over the page and even the littlest thing, if it's the slope of a nose or like the strand of hair, just the attention to detail was really impressive.
Yeah, you guys kind of said what I was gonna say as well, but yeah, echoing what they were both said, it's like setting yourself up for success from the start, which is like when we started hiring for it, we kind of had a very strong idea of like how we wanted it to look, and so we looked for artists that were already naturally inclined to that style, so it would be an easier fit for both the story team and the art team because we also, thought ahead and knew like the final product is the animatic, so it's ultimately going to be up to the storyboard artists and revisionists to get the characters to look on style because the designs are not the thing that's in the final product necessarily. So that was like something that we really prioritized. And then yeah, a lot of work to do drawovers constantly, and we were very like nitpicky, and so it's like also a lot of patience from the artists to take all of our notes, and just adjusting things like the microest of movements, but that helps it really like feel on style even if it seems like a tiny thing. Those things do add up. So yeah, those are some of the things we did.
And I also
Yeah.
want to add to it as well. Like, I want to commend like our leadership, especially because us as team leads, we couldn't have done it without their initial ideas and the wealth of references that they would provide us all the time to help build these characters, build these worlds. And that's a true testament to everyone who started the story and really brought it to life from their minds. And we were the ones that were lucky enough to bring it to like actual design phase. So that I think it's a testament to the leadership.
Yeah, I just wanted to add too, I've never worked with a showrunner who is as hands-on as Saira. I feel like we've been lucky that Saira actually knows how to draw. And she has helped with a lot of the drawovers, and she has such a keen eye. And I felt like that really helped with the consistency of everything as well. So shout out to Saira.
Amazing. So many good answers. Brian has sent in a question. What was the motivation for the tea pets? And is there more lore that you can share? So maybe a question more directed towards Sarah and Stephanie.
I think the original concept of tea pets came up in one of our writer summits where we were just listing all of the exciting things that are related to tea. We were talking about like tea accessories and beautiful, teapots and the designs. And someone brought up like, oh, there's this concept of tea pets. Look at them. They're so cute. And we were just like inspired by how adorable and beautiful the designs were. And we were like, we have to put this in the show somehow. Sometimes the visual, it precedes the story reason, and you're just like, this is such an iconic visual that we have to work it in somehow. And that's how Mia ended up getting a tea pet. As far as the lore behind them, I'm going to pass it off to Saira for more info there.
Yeah, so Lepet has a very like special lore. He's a special tea pet, not like other tea pets. So he, is alive, obviously. And so his backstory, which, we didn't see in this pilot, but maybe we would see in a future episode, is that he fell into a tea vat of fermenting tea leaves, and Mia maybe forgot him in there for a little too long, and that brought him to life. So he kind of went through the tea ceremony process inadvertently. And he was a gift from Wenyi and Wenyi's family to Mia's family on like a diplomatic, reasoning. And, both girls actually really loved Lepet. And Wenyi was very sad to give him up, but then, pushed that aside as she got older. And then so now they're all happily reunited.
Yes. So in the world, not all tea pets are living. Lepet is sort of a special case. However, now that we know that this is possible, maybe there's room in the future for more tea pets to be born, evolved. I don't know what the terminology is. We'll have to get the writers on that one.
I feel like the terminology would have to be tea related. It can't be anything boring like just born.
We keep using steeped. It's a great word. I love a good
Yes.
steep. Yeah.
Love a good steep. All right, that is it so far from audience questions, but I feel like we can have a few more from me as the moderator. And of course, if anyone has more questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we will get to them right away. We can do a more general question. Any advice that you guys have to give to someone who wants to lead their own animated project one day?
For me personally, it really just comes down to finding people you can trust and people you can work with well. People who make you better and who aren't afraid to like push back if they really need to. Because it's really important that it's not just a yes man team. Like everyone is like, yes, let's do this. Yes, let's do this. It's very important to get different perspectives from different people because that's how you make something great, because it's not just one perspective. And also like be kind and thoughtful. Try to find people who are also kind and thoughtful, because like feedback and opinions don't come from a place of harshness. It really comes from a place of care and understanding. So yeah, for me, again, we've echoed this many times throughout this discussion, but yeah, just finding the right people that that work well with you and that you can trust and can be there to back you up. I think that's the most important.
Absolutely agree with that. I think it's important to have people who not only support you, but really challenge you on a team. So I second everything that Ben said. I also think that if you are to lead your own animated project, you need to find your North Star story-wise, whether that be a theme or a character arc, something that no matter what people throw at you, they're not going to change that core of your idea. Maybe Saira could talk more about what she felt was the North Star of the show. For me, a lot of it was like the tea magic was the spark of why people were interested in this story. So making sure that we didn't get too lost in all of the world building elements that were getting pretty complicated. We have a very sprawling world. And making sure that like the magic was really coming forth and the fun and the surprise in that.
Yeah. I mean, I think like what Stephanie was saying, like I think that also speaks to like working in a team and working as a leader, is that like for me, like I think the core was a lot more on like the identity and the family and like those more like grounded aspects. So it was a good balance to have like Stephanie with the magic aspect, but also like goes to show like, sometimes like creative leadership doesn't always see eye to eye, and it's not anything bad. It's just part of the process, and it's just good to have people who, like Ben said, you can trust, and people also that like you know, you feel comfortable that you can have like, you know, creative disagreements, but still know like it's not personal. It doesn't affect like your friendship or anything. And it's just like, you know, differing views on a creative project. And then I think off of the original question, something that was really important to me as a leader, one was like decisiveness and like just like kind of like having the instinct and like going with your gut sometimes, and like, you know, there's a lot of ideas, going knowing which way you want to go. There's a lot of decisions to be made constantly every day. There's like deciding on every single little piece of like, what color is this, what's this, is this approved, is like this the right shot or that the right shot. So there's all these decisions to make all the time, so you have to like really know answers, and if you don't know answers, like finding the people who you can also ask for their feedback. But like at the end of the day, there still also might be differing opinions, so you have to like, you know, be the like put your foot down and be like, okay, we're going this way, thank you everyone. And then another big thing that I was always really thinking about was like responsibility and like ownership, and like when you take on something like leading a team and a project, especially with like this many people, I felt a lot of responsibility to make sure everyone had like a positive experience as much as I could control, and making sure like everything went as smoothly as possible. And I did everything I could to make sure everyone had what they needed at all times. No one was ever like waiting on me for answers. And like, so I think like, you know, if you want to lead a team, like don't take it lightly. And like, you know, it's a big thing to ask other people to buy into your, you know, your thing. So respecting that. And I was gonna say something else and I forgot, but yeah, along that lines, that type of idea.
I'm gonna piggyback super quick off of Saira as the producer, to input slightly a little bit more practicality into this question as well. I think also, as they have mentioned before, I think truly a really big bonus to this project was that we were able to bring in a team with diverse skill sets. So as a leader, taking some time to have some insight in what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and where can you find people that will kind of cover all of the bases where you don't have those strengths, and then listening to them and taking in their feedback as necessary in order to move forward and make the project as successful as possible.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that too. I think it's very important to also take chances on people, even if they're like very green or they're still in school. Sometimes bringing in that really fresh perspective can be so helpful and transformative. And one really great example of that was when we brought on Mania to design the transformation outfits. Oh my gosh, she just breathed a new life to those designs. Oh, chef kiss. It was amazing.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your insights. Yeah, it's definitely a very unique experience in terms of leadership, but hopefully more people can go forth and create projects similar to this one. Maxine, our lovely voice actress for Mia, has sent in a question. I read on one of the blog posts that the original pitch started with more of a fantasy Regency premise. Why/how did the story concept change into what it ultimately became?
I guess Saira and I can take this one. I think originally we were just thinking big picture, and the original premise was kind of inspired by Bridgerton a little bit and how popular and in the zeitgeist that show is. But since we are Asians in animation, we wanted to pivot the show to be more focused on our specific cultures, where we can add more of our personal experiences to the show and just give it that more specificity and ground it in a more personal take, and also a more specific time in history, where Bridgerton is kind of this amalgamation of the modern and the vibes really. Saira had some specific like historical events and time periods that were influencing the world of tea. So it was really just to stay true to the spirit of Asians in animation, what this organization stands for, and the type of voices that we want to champion and uplift.
Yeah. I think Stephanie covered most of it, but yeah, I think like when you think of tea, the two big cultures you think of is like the British like tea and then like Asian tea. And so, you know, the fantasy Regency premise was a little leaning more on the British side, and I was like, okay, we can look even further back with the Asian side and then also like still tie in like the British idea and then like just going into like Stephanie said like the history and seeing like how tea started and then like moved to Britain. That was like you know, a big inspiration for the themes of the story.
Amazing. And I definitely remember that process towards the beginning, how there were so many different ideas floating around, but we tunneled in and really honed in on what we really wanted to focus on. Alrighty, we can bring it back to a more lighthearted question again. Um, if you could spend a day with one of the characters in the pilot, who it be and why? And or who's your favorite character?
I'll go. Well, my favorite character is Wen Yi because I love a spoiled little princess trope. And I think you could see she's a very comedic character, I think. And I think she's a character that you can clearly see has a lot of growing to do. And that's tantalizing to me. I want to see it play out over a season. And as far as hanging out with her, well, I hope that she would treat us to all the fancy perks of the House of Gongfu-cha. But depending on her mood, she might just treat me like a servant. So we'll see. Flip a coin.
I think I would want to hang out with Jai. Jai has been my favorite from almost the beginning. She has some sort of mysterious side of her, especially near the beginning of the pilot. And I don't know, I was just so intrigued. And also offering somebody a snack the moment they walk into your house. Yes. Friends with snacks. That's what I'm all about. Yeah, that's my answer. And also Le Pet. I love Le Pet.
It's hard for me to choose a favorite because I think like I put a little bit of myself into all the characters. So I resonate with all of them in different ways. But you know, like I think my like soft spot is for Liz. You know, I love that she's like a book nerd and she like has a sense of adventure. And you know, she's been through a tough time. She's gone through a lot. So like, you know, she has like this like tougher exterior, but you know, deep down inside, she just means well and she's a softie at heart.
I am also on the same page with Saira. My personal favorite is Liz, and it's just because I really like those characters that you can't tell if they're evil or if they're good. You know, they're on that fine line. And also I'm totally on that ship between Liz and Mia.
Speaking of which, I feel like at the beginning, and I've told Saira this, I felt like I was like Team Wenyi all throughout in the beginning. But as like through working on the project, my perspective has been kind of like shifting a little bit. Now I'm like tied between Mia and Wenyi. I think there's something about Mia's earnestness and her willingness to like pursue her dreams, put in the work. She might stumble a little bit, but I really love that aspect of her. I feel like myself, I'm a pretty enthusiastic person. Also maybe I started out a bit naive, or like I am also very genuine, and sometimes uh, uh, that can get me into trouble. Sometimes I, I feel like maybe it makes me a little bit what's it called, gullible. But I feel like living life that way it's very exciting, and pursuing opportunities where you can, definitely worth it.
I am so excited to hear this ship discourse, Ben and Alice, because once you have ship wars, you know you've truly made it. So thank you.
I've never really partaken in shipping wars, but there's certainly lots of fun ships to be had. Pun for this show. Alrighty. I think we're getting pretty close to an hour, so I'll probably leave it off with one more question for myself and then open up the floor to any last audience questions before we sign off. So my last question is, if your work such time on this project were a tea or a boba drink, what would it be and why? Kind of a tough one.
I I have an answer for this. It doesn't necessarily fit the question perfectly. You can buy it in like a tea boba drink place, but my personal favorite and my go-to is Vietnamese coffee. And it's just because I really like it, and how it matches to this experience is it's a combination of being sweet and strong and packs a punch sometimes, you know. So that's what this experience was like for me. There was like a lot of sweet moments working with the team and working on the project and the story, but also there was a lot of challenges. But at the end of the day, like it was a great experience and I enjoyed it and I learned so much from it. And just working with everyone and working on this story was an amazing experience for me. But yeah, so it's not tea related, but yeah, Vietnamese coffee for me.
That's
I'll,
such a great analogy. I love the way that you phrased that.
yeah, I'll also not choose a tea drink, but it is in tea, so it's related, which is Faluda, which is the drink that Mia gives to the maidservant, and it's also one of my favorite drinks. And you know, it's like this drink that's like not very well known, but everyone who tries it does really like it. So I think that's a good analogy, and also it has like a lot of different elements in it, and wouldn't necessarily think that they all go together. It's basically like ice cream and milk with rose water. You can put like coffee in it, you can put nuts, you can put basil seeds, vermicelli, jello, like all sorts of different toppings into it. And so like you wouldn't think they go together, but then when you drink it, it all really works together. So we had, you know, a lot of different, you know, people working on it, and you know, it all came together to make one cohesive, beautiful assortment.
Sounds delicious. I definitely want to drink Faluda now.
I love foods that are also a metaphor.
Awesome. It looks like Henry has a last question in the chat. How can people get more involved with Asians in animation moving forward? What a great question, Henry. Um, if you're not already involved, you can join AIA via our Discord server. You can find the link on our website. You can follow our socials. We'll be posting kind of updates on all of the future programs we have here, and also just regular events that AI hosts. We have like what we call our pause sessions, portfolio art review sessions. We also have writing groups, and you can just reach out to all the community members and join something, get something started to help develop your skills, meet more people who are interested in animation and all of the like.
Amazing. Yeah, I think the best place to get all the info is on our Discord, and also sign up for our emails. And I also
Yes.
think right now aren't they sourcing people for the next immersive lab, which is creating a short film? So that's the next big project you can join if you're interested.
Yes, absolutely. Applications to the Immersive Lab summer program are currently live, and those applications are still open. So it's a bit different from 4P, but it's still along the same vein of intending to help people develop skills through doing projects. And so this is a summer project, so the runtime's a bit shorter than 4P. And the end product ideally is a short film, so shorter than our pilot animatic, and the goal is a short film instead.
Yes, and instead of logistics, I will talk about why you should join AIA. It is such a big resource, just for like, I mean, honestly, the community part. Like, you know, I started out not knowing anybody in the industry, and AIA, you know, being remote and having the reach it does helped me really make my first industry connections, make friends, you know, have a writers group, lead the creative team for volunteering, lead this project, and I've been able to meet so many people throughout it, and so many like talented people, people that I hope to work with, you know, in the future for the rest of my life. I want to work with like a lot of the people. So it is invaluable to join a community. So, you know, if you're hesitant, or you're like, I don't know if it'll help me, I think, you know, you'll get out of it what you put in. So the more that you want to invest into like an organization with like you just like your time or just being involved, I think the more you'll benefit from it as well.
Absolutely, definitely echoing what Saira said. I think I joined Asians in Animation quite a few years ago now, and it's been amazing seeing the community grow. And as well as like all of these programs starting to be developed, we're really coming together and creating more opportunities together, meeting people. Like truly, I would not have met so many people in the industry if it weren't for Asians in Animation. They're such a great source of information, and community. Alrighty. If that's it, I think thank you so much for joining this Q&A panel about the 4P program and Tea Leaves Last. Thank you so much to our wonderful panelists for taking the time to share your experiences with us. And thank you to everyone in the audience for joining and asking questions.
Thanks,
Yay.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank you. Bye. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye-bye.